Hello, welcome. I'm shuffling on my meditation stool. If you think I've got ants in my pants, it's because I'm rearranging myself on my meditation stool, which is itself perched on a cushion. So, a warm welcome as people link in. John King and Lynn with you, I would trust and hope, and Iselinda. So that's already Scotland and Portugal. And England with, Germany, David Wetzlerweiler. So yeah, we've already got international flavour in the mix. Lovely. Lynn and John from the Wildlands, that's right. And what have we got there? Margareta Berg. Not sure which country that is. Is it Holland or Germany? Anyway, doesn't matter. It's very beautiful that you're with us. Okay. And Iselanda Damas from Portugal. Beautiful, some familiar names and one or two not so familiar. Beautiful. So this week, it's Sovereign Earth 33 already, how strange. And I want to look at hidden words and secret meanings. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm aware there's a lot of I'm not going to ignore the turmoil that's going on in the world and just want to acknowledge a lot of people going through a lot of upset and discomfort, and offer my prayers for anybody who's going through it in whatever way. But Sovereign Earth is offered by way of an antidote to much of what I would regard as paucity of value and ethics, certainly in our government, in our media. Which has gotten us into this mess. So Sovereign Earth is kind of offered as something to a complementary opposite. As one of the regular followers on here, I can't remember, was it Mark Taft possibly? He said, "JJ, Sovereign Earth is my weekly dose of happiness." So that really touched me and warmed my heart, and it warms my heart. If it comes anywhere near that for any of the rest of you out there, then I'm very content. So I hope this evening's episode will leave you feeling better than when you joined, and leave you feeling that way, that little dose of happiness. So hidden words, secret meanings. I'm picking up a daisy. Whoops, can you see that? Way. I picked at the farm this morning when I was digging up at the plot, my weekly digging the earth, and I saw the daisy. And some of you will, if you've watched my broadcast regularly, I've referred to this before. Daisy is a lovely flower and it's a beautiful name in itself, but it means day's eye, deity, God's eye. And when we see it as God's eye, it brings a different level of meaning to it. It sanctifies nature, it sanctifies the world we live in, and we've lost that. It's called a daisy. Lovely, but day's eye, God's eye. The inference also being that God may once have been the sun itself. And so language comes more fully to life when the divine is integrated into nature and it's mutually supportive. Nature enhances the language and the language enhances and supports nature. Now, I'll just put the daisy down here to watch over me during this program, and bless me and you. I've quoted this 13th century poet Hafiz before, is my favorite, or one of them, and I'll do so again now. The words I speak create the home I live in. The words I speak create the home I live in. And that's so true at so many levels. The words, it's not by accident that we spell a word. We spell the letters, but we spell it because it's magic. It creates what we call for. And we forget that at our peril. Both ways. We don't praise enough. And if I blaspheme or swear, that's calling in the wrong energy. And well, that reminds me of Buddhism and the Noble Eightfold Path, and they're one of those eight: right speech, to speak with kindness and truthful, also to only speak when necessary. That's a good one. But Buddhism recognizes the power and the importance of speaking truthfully and kindly. And it's really very easy to forget how important that is, to speak the right words and the relevance and necessity or not of each syllable that I express. The words I speak create the home I live in. It reminds me of another similar one. For the company I seek, or for the person you seek, note the company you keep. So for the person I seek to be, note the company I keep with me. And just finally on this little bit of theme, I'm reminded also of Omar Khayyam, the 11th or 12th century Persian mystic and poet, philosopher, who said, the essence of my philosophy is allow no evil in your thoughts. So that was his summation of life, of his life's wisdom. Allow no evil in your thoughts. All comes together, and we have the capacity to not only experience love in this life, but to embody it, to create it, and to express it. And I'm going to sing a song in that vein. And again, the words I speak create the home I live in. Listen to these and join in if you know it. Every breath taken in, whoa, by the woman who loves, and by the man who loves, goes to fill the water trough where the spirit horses drink, where the spirit horses drink. Every breath taken in, whoa, by the woman who loves, and by the man who loves, goes to fill the water trough where the spirit horses drink, where the spirit horses drink, where the spirit horses drink. So there's a word currently in our vocabulary, very much in our vocabulary, where the origin and the meaning is hidden, and it's the word pandemic. So that's very resonant and present in our world at the moment. So pandemic itself occurring over a wide geographic area and affecting an exceptionally high number of people. But if we delve a little deeper, Pan, the god Pan, Pan of all, in all things. Pan means like Pan Am is Pan America jets, isn't it? And Pan means of the world, across the world. So Pan was the god of shepherds originally, and of the woods and pastures, and of wild nature, a wild god, god of spring and fertility, and was associated with sexuality. So, and therefore, what happened when more repressive faiths or religions came along, they suppressed that. We can't have some wild demonic sexual god corrupting our parishioners or whatever. But then we lost something, haven't we? We've lost that connection to a healthy wild wisdom and a healthy wild and beautiful and reverential sexuality. So the Greeks believed that Pan often wandered peacefully through the woods and often playing his pipe. We see that statue of Pan with his pipe. And then he's supposed to, they said that he would often snooze at noon. And then if he was disturbed or accidentally awakened, he could give a great shout, and that would cause the flocks of sheep or goats to stampede or to run away and disperse. And because of that, we got the word from Greek panikos, which is where we get panic, which is another current word, isn't it? Pandemic and panic, but it's all encompassing. So that's one reference to the old ways in a sort of part hidden word that we might vaguely be aware of, although I think many people aren't, which is kind of been corrupted or demonized, or it's lost its reverence, I think is how I would put it. And that one happens to be a male. But what I've found really fascinating and curious over the years is how many female words have been demonized and corrupted, and they've suffered far harsher treatment generally and denigration. And I think that's by Sovereign Earth I'm addressing this, because these words are so crucial and important, and to reclaim them. So I'm going to give you an example. Well, I'm going to give you several, but here's one. I'm a celebrant, and so over the years, over a quarter of a century now, I've been blessed with conducting ceremonies for hand fastings, for partings, and for naming ceremonies. So several years ago now, more than that, I discovered a beautiful relationship between a word that in our modern day usage is used to denigrate, usually women, and it is a feminine word, or was originally, as you'll see, but it wasn't a denigration word, it was the opposite. So many of these words have been turned on their head. It's become sometimes and often a term of abuse. The word is gossip. So it's not always used, and generally not used very flatteringly. But if I tell you its original meaning came from when women around a newborn baby, you know how they chatter like sparrows. There's a wonderful energy around a newborn baby, particularly with women. Men have a touch of it, but I've seen it. Women, just loving the baby. And it's called, instead of gossip, what was happening then was God sip. They were sipping with God. How amazing, how beautiful. The child is the expression of the divine, and they're sipping with God because it is so close to the source and so beautiful. Circling around a newborn. So there's one word to be reclaimed, but there's many, many other feminine words that have been diminished and suppressed. So it's Tuesday, right? Tuesday the 10th of March, but in 3 days' time, it's Friday. And it's a Friday the 13th, as it happens. Lo and behold, Friday the 13th is in our current culture is regarded as being unlucky. Well, I want to suggest from my own take on things that it's the opposite. And I'll tell you why. It's become unlucky because it's associated with the feminine. So Friday is the day of Venus, Vendredi on the continent, and Friday, Freya's day in our language, which is the goddess. And 13 is the goddess number. 13 months, 13 moons, 13 loaves of bread in an old baker's dozen, the ancient way. Again, hidden. So 13 is the feminine number. Friday is the feminine day. So fishermen don't go out, it's said. They won't sail because it's unlucky. I think, it's just my own hunch, who knows? I think it's because it was a day of reverence and it was a special double holy day. That's why they didn't go out. And then everything became, the feminine became dishonored, as I see it, and suppressed. And patriarchy kicked in. And so Sovereign Earth is looking to bring that awareness of the divine feminine, but the divine masculine as well, as with Pan, into awareness and consciousness again, reclaiming the earth. As far as I'm aware, this is my understanding, is that the Knights Templar celebrated Friday the 13th as being particularly special. And when the Pope ordered their suppression and extermination effectively, they knew, the authorities knew, that they would be celebrating the goddess on Friday the 13th. And I believe, I might be wrong on this, but I think that's when they attacked and captured them all and imprisoned them all, tortured them, killed a lot of them. So it wasn't such a lucky date for them, was it? Okay, maybe that's where the bad luck aspect kicks in. So another small thing, seemingly. Last night was full moon. Another suppressed and hidden aspect of our current lives. The moon doesn't figure predominantly. It's not taught, particularly in our schools, that month is month and Monday is moon day. And as it happened, yesterday was a moon day when it was full moon. Hidden aspects, often feminine. And yeah, it would have been moonstruation, I think, not menstruation. Again, it's been turned on its head. It's the opposite. Menstruation, what have men got to do with it? It's moon. So there's many other words hidden which express clues to beauty and inspiration. I said last week that the Irish word for druid is trí, which also means magic. I think that's quite revelatory for me. Maybe that's not for you, but for me, that's quite, that's interesting. And I've talked before about my own take on the word druid. I mean, the wid bit is Sanskrit for wisdom, and the teru, teru root, truth and tree. Truth and tree wisdom, druid. But I've also pondered on, when I was doing a Sanskrit course locally with Lucy, forgotten her surname, but Lucy's one of the few in the world who understands Sanskrit intimately, bless her. It occurred to me that the ancient word widdershins has wisdom in it, wisdom. And some of you will know that widdershins, when you unwind a circle, particularly in a magical context, it's unwound. It's the left-hand path anti-clockwise. It's also the feminine path, the wisdom way. There's a whole load more on this, I think, which I think will deserve a program in its own right, but just a couple of things that are relevant to this hidden words, secret meanings now. So there's many feminine words. So linked to the widdershins, left-hand path, you've got, why is it that in Latin the word for left hand, where's my left hand? Some of you will know it's sinister. It's the word sinister. Doesn't have a good feeling, does it? This is my sinister hand. This is my dexterous hand, my right hand. This is my dexterous hand. How interesting. We say something's right if it's correct. And we say, right, I'll get that. So it's a grasping. The right is grasping and right, that's right, you're wrong. So it's reflected in the language. And the left, sinister. Now, what's interesting, when I dig a bit deeper, the origin of the word sinister in Sanskrit, again, sinister means more useful, more advantageous. Interesting. And a further clue is when in the 1st century BCE, in the 1st century BC, Virgil refers to the sinister as a good omen. But by the 2nd century in the Common Era, AD, Apollousis, I think is the name, Apollousis refers to it as being a bad omen, as being, a bad thing, sinister. So I wonder what happened between the 1st century BC and the 2nd century AD to turn that word on its head. So it's like the truth again lies in the opposite. It's all hidden. It's been not only suppressed, but inverted. And we. So There's many other feminine words have been corrupted and excluded from our language, or twisted and turned in the most appalling ways. I mean, the rivers, the Severn River locally, Sabrina, they're often rivers and are often deities, feminine and masculine. And there's a river down at Avebury called the Kennet, which flows from the Swallow Spring, from the womb of the earth. Now, again, this isn't proven, but there's evidence to suggest that Kennet was a sacred goddess. But of course, it's been turned so horribly that I can't even say the current word because it's too offensive. But if you say the word Kennet fast and often enough, you get a clue as to what word I'm talking about. So something that was sacred and is sacred has been turned into a swear word so bad that it's offensive to say it. How sad is that? Our goddess, turned. She's been waiting. She's been waiting so long. She's been waiting for her children to remember. She's been waiting. She's been waiting so long. She's been waiting for her children to remember to come home. Blessed are and blessed be those who stand together. Blessed are and blessed be those who stand alone. Blessed are and blessed be the lovers of the lady. Blessed are and blessed be, may her crown. She's been waiting. She's been waiting so long. Yeah, maybe we're waking up. Okay. So just a few other hidden words. Take religion. Another one turned on its head. A lot of people don't like the word religion. I can understand why. I didn't once. But it comes from religare, to rebind, to reconnect. Isn't that what it should be about? But it's been turned into its opposite. It's divides, it's divisive and dogmatic. So the word religion has been turned on its head. So another one, education, educare. It comes from to bring out that which is within. Yeah, our wisdom is within. But what is education these days? We impose that which is without, both outside and without meaning. So it's turned on its head. Education should be bringing out the inherent wisdom. We should be encouraging each unique being to express the truth of their beauty. And instead we're putting all sorts of crap on them and on ourselves. Not all the time. So just a couple more. We're approaching Easter. And this year, you may or may not know or care that it falls on April the 12th. So why would it fall on April the 12th? Well, do you know what? I've talked to the local vicar and another couple of priests and vicars. They're not taught. Can you believe it? They're not taught how Easter, the date of Easter, is derived. Of course, that's because it's a pagan ceremony. So this year, the equinox. So it's still related to the spring equinox. You take the spring equinox, which is on the 20th of March this year, on Friday the 20th. Then you take the full moon, which follows it, which in this year is Wednesday, April the 8th. And then you take the Sunday after that, which is Sunday, April the 12th. So you've got the equinox, full moon that follows it, and then they've Christianized it by putting it on the Sunday that follows that. I think the original ceremony, a hunch, was the full moon following the equinox, was a special spirit of Easter and spirit of celebrating the goddess Eostra, which is, she a goddess of spring and fertility and of the rising sun, of the dawn. And of course, the very word Easter has at its front, east. And of course, the spring equinox is the time that the sun rises in the east. We often assume it rises in the east all year long, but we're wrong. It rises in the east specifically on the spring equinox, and then in its balancing opposite at the autumn equinox. And it sets in the west on those days because that's the only time it's in alignment. The rest of the time it's either side of the east. So east, again, hidden words, hidden meanings, ancient knowledge right in front of our eyes, but for most people completely oblivious and not brought out. So it's my belief that as we reclaim these words and their original sense and meaning, that we can reclaim our connection with Mother Nature, with Sovereign Earth, with the beauty and the magic and the divinity of that. So I've run on a bit, but we probably haven't got much. I haven't got time to do a full meditation, but let's briefly, especially if you're familiar with it, let's just take ourselves in our mind's eye. Close your eyes, please. I invite you to, and me too, with you. Closing our eyes, sinking with each breath into the body, and taking our attention just simply to a grove of trees, a circle of trees, which we're all standing in circle together now in. Trees, humans, each of us in circle together. And I'm going to keep it very simple this week. In circle, in this global grove, wherever you are in this moment, we just bring our thoughts to bear, our healing and our compassion and our good wishes on all the people pan the globe, across the globe, who are affected by what's going on. Some are panicking, some are part of a pandemic. Let's try and bring the God Pan, the God of wild nature, to bear here. And let's send our love, just for a few silent seconds. Send our love, our heartfulness, just into the midst of this circle for the good of all beings. So I will invite you to just take your leave gently and gracefully from that place. Very simple this week, just a simple linking in. And we'll finish with this song. All the hidden words often pointing towards divinity, our lost divinity and our lost connection with nature. We are angels. We have forgotten these things. Trailing clouds of glory. We are remembering. Join in if you care to. We are angels. We have forgotten these things. Trailing clouds of glory, we are remembering. We are angels. We have forgotten these things. Trailing clouds of glory, we are remembering. Okay, secret words, hidden meanings, and the importance of the words we speak. So above in my loo, in my bathroom, above the toilet, so every time I pee, I see these words written on a big sign in front of me, if I can remember them. Dance like nobody's watching. Love like you've never been hurt. Sing like nobody's listening. Live like it's heaven on earth. So just by saying those words, interestingly, I invoke them, I spell them out, and I help create that possibility in my life. And I invite us all to do the same in honor of Sovereign Earth. So until next week, with love and with blessings, bye-bye.